Randy, you want to take a few minutes?
Okay, I'm going to bring this meeting to order of the Amador County Board of Supervisors. Robert, I did have the undersheriff confer on this, but he didn't know exactly where the spot was, so I'll give this location to him at that time.
All right. That's it?
That's it, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else from the public?
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Morning. My request this time is to ask the board to reconsider and put back into effect the dark sky ordinance. Talked to you about it the last time I think I was here. I'm hoping you'll decide to revisit and put that ordinance in place. Thank you.
At the Pioneers Grain Cleanup on August 4th through August 11th. So we had a total of 38 dumpsters that were taken. Total tonnage is 164.66 tons. Out of those dumpsters, 9 were for stumps and 35 were for the yard waste. And then we had a total of 848 vehicles/trailers come to the event. I do want to thank Caltrans for providing volunteers to help me out and assist, as well as ACRA. And then a shout out to Bob Fines, who generously came by every day with his excavator to help me load the dumpsters. Does the board have any questions?
Sorry, Michelle, where did they take like the stumps and the, debris, like the biomass type debris? Do they truck it where?
So I know, I believe it was Vicini's was
all
where they
goes
were
to
gonna take the stumps, and without having it in front of me, there was another location that they were gonna take the green waste material to.
Kiefer was the name? That's normally where they take it.
So they take it to the landfill?
No, I don't recall it being Kiefer. It was actually a recycling center, so unfortunately I don't have it, but I can email it to you if you wanna know.
Yeah, if you, just next time you see me, mention it. Is it, if it's close by or whatever?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I could
thanks.
do that. And then I wanted to mention our last recycling event is a shredded event, which will be January 20th, 2024. That'd be a Saturday from 9 to noon. And that's free to all Amador County residents.
What was that date again? I'm sorry.
January 20th, 2024.
Where will that be held at?
Airport Road. Usually where the tire recycling's done.
Yeah, it was an interesting event,
It
at the
was.
lower baseball field again and getting to guide the traffic, but we didn't have as much as our cleanup days. So at least it was just that very first day getting it organized, and
Yeah, it
we had
went
fun.
very well, very well. So, all right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Okay,
Mr. Chairman, we do have someone on Zoom.
Oh,
You Ready?
go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Heisenbuttel, when you're ready.
John Heisenbuttel, resident of Pine Grove, always thinking about budgets. Wanted to suggest the board think about not funding sidewalks in Pine Grove and rather putting that money towards maintenance of county roads throughout the county. Just a thought, gentlemen, and the money that's going into rerouting the school will gum up the works for those of us that live on Pine Grove, Volcano Road. Let the state take care of it and put the money towards county roads. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, Richard is second.
Yeah, under discussion, if you don't mind, I kind of ran by public comment. I had something I'd like to talk about. I think what Mr. Heisenbuttel brought up is probably an interesting statement. And I know we've been looking at the Pine Grove project, and I know driving through my district, we've got a lot of roads that are, for lack of a better term, that have some major issues. I think right now there's one over there on New Chicago. It's not a major culvert, but there's a culvert that has rocks. Culvert has a hole in it, about in the middle of the road, and there's rocks filling the hole with a little bit of hot mix on top. And I know because Eddie Santinelli and I placed the rocks in there to fill up the hole, and it was at an angle so it would work. It wasn't straight down in the culvert. And the county road crew came by with some hot mix and put a little patch over it, so it looks pretty nice, but in reality the culvert has a hole in it. It's collapsing. There's a lot of other culverts I see that have, they're rotting out. I stopped, actually when I was there, I stopped and looked at one. They talked about right below Santinelli's house. Hey, it's got some debris in it, so I stopped and looked at that. I thought, wow, it looks like the bottom of that culvert's rotting out too. And some other culverts I looked at around the county, they're rotting out. And it takes some money to replace culverts, and if culverts fail, then the road fails. We've had a lot of failures. I think we're behind our maintenance. And I've talked to a couple engineers that are saying, hey, there's a few issues up there with that Pine Grove project. And so I would like to, I know so far we've voted to go forward with it, but I'd like to look at that again, reconsider it, because it is a state highway. And Originally, I was against the Pine Grove project all the way. I know Supervisor Plaza and I worked real hard to get it a lot smaller. And then I thought, for a while, I was supporting it. I thought, hey, maybe it'll help out the school. The school does have a problem there. But then talking to two, I'd say, very competent engineers. One guy worked for Caltrans a long time, was in charge of getting some of the major freeways back up and running when they had an earthquake. He was the guy there doing it. He's competent. I talked to another engineer, competent guy. They both said there's problems the way it's structured there. And also, it's a state highway. And the state wastes more money than we ever could think of spending. They got a lot of money to state. I would like to consider, we've done the heavy lifting. Basically, right-of-way's been done, the engineering's been done. I would like to let Caltrans go ahead and carry that ball and look at putting that money towards local roads. So I voted no, so I can't make a motion to reconsider, but some of the board members that voted yes could. I don't know if they'd like to or not, but I'm just putting that ball back out there.
Okay.
And I listened this morning to Director Agar, I guess director is the correct term, from our meeting. And he talked in platitudes. He never did specifically say that we couldn't get some money back. It's complicated funding, I realize that. There's RTP, shop funds, LTFs. But I never got from him that at least the local transportation funds, if we're the lead agency, we should control those. Now, if they're 600,000, it's probably not worth the battle. But if they're 3 to 5 million, Mr. Chairman, you yourself said we haven't spent any money in District 3. I wouldn't mind we took that 3 to 5 million and dedicated to District 3.
We can't promise that. That's the whole thing out of the whole, the whole argument.
You're not listening to me. And we didn't waste 6.2 million. There's $1 million left in the right-of-way we could get back. He just said we can't do it. Well, I want to see it on paper. And we're in no rush. Building season's over. We just want to take another look at it. And I think the taxpayers, John Heisenbuttel, one of them, made a good point. Let's step back and get a number. And I might say, ooh, that's not worth doing. But just to say, well, we got to keep going, you're just chasing good money after bad. So there's no rush. We could reconsider this. It wouldn't hurt anything. But I can't make that motion either.
Okay.
Well, Supervisor Crew, my take from what Director Agar said is there's really no guarantee that we'd ever see any of the funds for local roads, and how much that would be. I don't know if that, we'd ever see anything anytime soon. We would lose the $6 million that's been spent. Also, the project would go back to the state, and they probably wouldn't make that happen anytime soon. And another important aspect of this is Director Agar will not help us with the permit situation that we're going to need on, I think, Highway 88 or 49 for the jail. And he
said that?
It was discussed there.
He said he won't help if we go forward?
He didn't say that in his words, but there's no incentive for him to help if we turn around and say we're not going to do the project.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I think we're turning this into an agenda item.
Yeah.
Agreed.
With the discussion.
And this is, okay, we've had a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
This is to approve the agenda.
Approve the agenda. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? 5-0. Approval of items on a consent agenda.
Move approval.
Do we have anybody from the public? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, no. Supervisor Forster moved,
Second.
second by Supervisor Axe. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are on to regular agenda. Resolution proclaiming, excuse me, it's gonna be one of those days. August 2023 as Child Support Awareness Month in Amador County. Good
Chairman of the
morning.
board,
Morning.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Julie Prado. I'm the Executive Director of the Central Sierra Child Support Agency. With me today is Kim Britt, the Assistant Director of the agency. I also have Lisa Bispam here with me as well. I couldn't convince her to come up to the podium. Lisa runs our HR department. She also serves as the secretary to our board. And we are here this morning, and we're very thankful for some time on your agenda. Thank you for giving us this time. We are here to share some information about our program within Amador County. We deliver services for child support. The Amador County Department of Child Support Services is really housed under the JPA model of the Central Sierra Child Support Agency. We offer services and deliver services in conjunction with the four-county JPA. We serve Tuolumne, Calaveras, Amador, and Alpine. Our agency, we have three main offices. Our biggest office is right here in Amador County. We also have an office in Sonora and one in San Andreas. We deliver services on a monthly basis to Alpine. The month of August is Child Support Awareness Month nationwide, and our goal here is to make sure that the community and the board members and the executives within the county understand that we're here. We are serving about 4,400 families at this time. Those 4,400 cases represent just under 10,000 children. 1,100 or so of those cases are for families right here in Amador County. We're currently collecting between $11 million and $12 million each fiscal year. We're hoping that this year brings us $12 million. Just under $3 million of that stays right here in Amador County to serve the families within our communities. We offer services, child support services, which run the gamut, and we also are looking to be that safety net program for families, making sure that we provide them referrals to the programs that they really need. In our program, we establish parentage, we do DNA testing when appropriate, we establish court orders for child support, for medical insurance, and of course we collect on those child support orders. We partner with families in court, we stand beside them in court, we help them complete paperwork. Our services are completely free, and we can do any portion of those program services or the full gamut of services, whichever the families that come to us need and desire. To open a case in our organization is very easy. Any mother, father, any caretaker, grandparent can open a case if they need child support services. We can do that online. We can do that in person. Our office is just right down the street on New York Ranch Road. We can be reached at cscsa.org. Our website is quite easy to maneuver. You can apply for services right there online, contact us right there online, or come into any of our offices. We want the community to know that we're here. Our services are free of charge. We have the capacity to serve more families. We do believe, based on research, that there are families and children that are in need of our services, but cannot find us or do not know that we're here. In any other organization in any other county in the state, for example, Sacramento County, the child support offices, Sacramento County Department of Child Support Services, El Dorado County Department of Child Support Services. Because we operate, and we're the only JPA in the state, we operate under the JPA model. Our name is Central Sierra Child Support Services. It can be a little bit difficult to find us if you're an Amador County resident looking for the Amador County services that we provide. So we want to make sure that we're providing that connection for families. We are looking to make sure that we're advertising and marketing our services on a regular basis. We're getting out there more in the community. Hopefully you've seen our commercials, you've seen us on the buses, on the radio. We're really looking to strengthen our relationship with the county. We feel that we are a county department, even though we operate under the JPA model, and we're really looking to increase and improve our relationship with the Department of Health and Human Services. We're working directly with them, of course, but with all of the county departments to make sure that we are meeting customers where they are and meeting their needs. So again, our purpose today is to ask you, the board, to deem it Child Support Awareness Month in the County of Amador. So I would request that you approve that resolution. And if there are any questions that you or the community have, we would be more than happy to sit down and answer questions. and talk about what we can and cannot do for them and provide them the services that we need. If we can't provide them, we'll find somewhere that they can go to gain the services that they need. So again, thank you for your time today, and I can answer any questions that you might have. Let me stop and say, I really do want to thank Supervisor Brown and Supervisor Axe. The two of you have been serving on our board for many years. You provide extraordinary leadership to our organization, and we're really grateful to have you and to continue to have you each year and to hopefully have you again next year.
Thank you. You're welcome. Oh, Julie, did you mention the other participating counties in the JPA by chance?
If I didn't, I will again. Alpine, Amador, Calaveras, and Tuolumne.
Yeah, so it's a big,
Yeah.
big project, or a big territory, really,
Right.
to manage, and you do it very well, you and your staff.
Thank you, and I'll mention that our staff are small. We have 28 full-time positions. We're currently staffed at 23. If anyone's interested in working for the governmental agency, Central Sierra Child Support, we are hiring at this time. But our small staff of 28 are collecting the nearly $12 million a year. We are operated fully under state and federal funds. We draw no general fund money from any of our 4 counties.
Well, I thank you. If right now, I'm going to read the resolution, and then we'll ask for any, if anybody else has any other questions, and then we'll vote on it, and we'll go from there. Okay, resolution proclaiming August 2023 as Child Support Awareness Month in Amador County. Whereas the vision of Central Sierra Child Support Agency is partnering with families to create a self-sufficiency. And whereas the professional staff of the Central Sierra Support Agencies work diligently to fulfill this vision by partnering with families involved in more than 4,400 cases and annually collecting nearly $11 million in support of last federal fiscal year. Whereas the Central Sierra Child Support Agency declares its commitment to having a meaningful impact on the families it serves. And whereas the child support, I'm going to keep going with this. The Central Sierra Child Support Agency is engaged in educating its customers regarding their cases and the community regarding the services it provides. The Central Sierra Child Support Agency affirms that the important role it plays in partnering with partners to support the well-being of children. And whereas the Central Sierra Child Support Agency encourages parents to be accountable for their children, providing them opportunities to succeed. And whereas Child Support Awareness Month recognizes acknowledges parents whose work diligently to support their children to provide both emotional and financial stability. Whereas the Central Sierra Child Support Agency thanks its partners, agencies, and recognizes its child support professionals who strive to continuously improve their customer service and make a difference in the lives of the children in our community. Now, therefore, it is hereby resolved that the Board of Supervisors, Amador County, State of California, does hereby designate the month of August 2023 to be declared Child Support Awareness Month in Amador County, and applauds the Central Sierra Child Support Agency for its continued service to the families throughout the community. Anybody from the public would like to talk on this? Anybody on Zoom? Well, I would like, do we have anybody from the supervisors?
I'll just reiterate, it's been a real pleasure and honor to be on the Central Sierra Board. I get to work with all my colleagues from the other counties who I enjoy seeing on a regular basis, and it's been great, and I think they're doing a great job. So with that, I'd like to make the motion then to approve this resolution proclaiming August 2023 as Child Support Awareness Month in Amador County and throughout the district.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, I'll go with Supervisor Neto. Under discussion, I ditto Supervisor Axe. Julie, Kim, Leslie are wonderful people to work with. I truly appreciate it. Even when I'm the only one in the room, that's when the meeting's being Zoomed, that's kind of been funny. So I truly appreciate you, the hard work you and your staff does. So now I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3B, update on tree mortality mitigation activities by Tad Manson, TSS Consultants, and Dr. Richard Harris and Ed Struffenegger.
Afternoon, Board, or
Afternoon.
morning.
Morning.
Well, that's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, it is.
But I'll try my best. So I think, Tad, do you want to say hi? I thought Tad was zoomed in.
He might not have
Might have dropped out.
released him.
Actually, I'm online now. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Great. Good morning, Chairman and board members. This is Tad Mason calling in remotely. Ed Struffenegger, County Registered Professional Forester, and Dr. Richard Harris are headed to the field today. They're able to present in person. I'm calling in remotely, obviously. So this represents our quarterly report to the board, and our last presentation was in April. As we did then and we'll do today is Dr. Richard Harris is here to present as our project manager. And from here, I'm going to hand the microphone back to you, Richard. Take it away.
Okay, Ted. Again, good to see you all.
You too.
And see these same familiar faces. So, you know, we've been at this for a long time, 6 years or so, and, you know, I've been here several times, you know, to try to present and tell you what we've been doing, and I keep hoping that the tree mortality episode will be over, just because, you know, it would be nice if we wouldn't have fires, floods, hurricanes, tree mortality, and everything on God's green earth seeming to happen to us all at once. And I noticed that on your agenda, there is a renewal of the declaration of the emergency. And of course, we know that the governor has not retracted the emergency statewide. And it is a statewide emergency. I mean, I didn't really understand that until someone from OES told me, hey, it's not just the 10 Sierra counties, it's the entire state. And that he was actually processing applications for funding from other counties like Napa County and Ventura County and, you know, all over the state. So, you know, it's really pretty profound. And I wish I could say that it's kind of tapering off, but actually we're not really seeing it taper off that much, especially at the higher elevations. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I just wanted to let you know that, you know, we're still hard at work. So, see how this works. There we go. Okay, program summary. Since 2017, we've done 22 projects. We've successfully removed over 8,000 trees at a cost of $3.4 million. You know, historically, the county's been reimbursed 3.2 million of that, and the cost of the county per tree has been about $18, which is, you know, kind of amazing. And we found actually in Calaveras County, where we also run the program, the cost of the county, the net cost of the county per tree has been $18. Now, I just have to say, like, when you send your tree maintenance workers out to the field, you know, to remove a tree that fell across the road, it probably costs you more than $18.
Yeah.
So it's been very cost effective, I think, you know, and it seems to be continuing in that vein. We've done all the county roads, you know, at least once, I think probably almost 3 times, right? We've probably done every county road at least, you know, at least twice and maybe 3 times. We just launched a new survey west of 49. I'll jump ahead a little bit and just say that we're continuing that survey west of 49 to see what's out there. You know, the initial declaration really was for pine killed by beetles. And the thought was, you know, all of that was east of 49. But then, you know, when we first looked west of 49, we saw that other species, you know, are being similarly affected. So it's not confined to ponderosa pine or sugar pine. It runs the whole gamut in terms of mortality. So we've had 11 different companies and logging contractors. We've had real success as compared to some of the, you know, horror stories you get on logging shows. We've never had a problem really with anybody being injured or any serious property damage. You know, it's been really, we've had really good luck. Public support's been good, as I would say, you know, from the, yeah.
That $18 a tree, I remember when this started, we were thinking $500 a tree would be pretty good. Then it came down to a little over $100 a tree, but to get down to $18, it's just really phenomenal and really great investment for the taxpayers.
And that's the net cost to the county, right? I mean, when the original tree mortality survey was done, and you know that was done by the Calland foresters, and they were sort of saying, hey, it's going to cost about $1,500 a tree to get these trees out. You know, I mean, if you were a private contractor taking a tree out next to a house, it can go up to $10,000. But you know, we get economies of scale.
But are these trees all really large trees, or some of them smaller?
All different sizes.
Some of them are on the fairly small size.
Yeah, and actually, if you look at
Relatively speaking.
the contracts, the way our contracts work is we have a number of trees that are the base for the contract, and then we have a per tree cost based on the size. So in our most recent contract for Project 18, which we're doing right now, the per tree cost removal that's estimated by the contractor is $1,000. But when you add it all together, usually, you know, like 75% of our trees probably are under 24 inches. So we have some big hunters out there, though. We have one out there that's like 50 inches. Yeah, and in fact, we're gonna look at that today because, you know, that's causing the contractor a little bit of, you know, concern, if you will, right next to a house. I'm sorry, I'm trying to move along here. I'm taking too much time. Why won't this go forward? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have 5 projects underway. Project 18 is underway right now. Should wrap up probably in the early September. Project 19, 238 trees. It got awarded to a new company we had never heard of before, Jet Tree Service. So they'll be moving along probably after after Labor Day. And then Project 20, the bids are due on the 24th, tomorrow, or day after tomorrow, I guess. And then we have 2 projects on National Forest land, Project 21 and 22, Bear River and Silver Lake. We're negotiating with the Forest Service now on the terms of those contracts. In the past, we were able to negotiate basically a cull permit, where the cost for acquiring the wood and conveying it to the contractor was minimal. We don't know how that's going to work this time. We're still working through that. We have a conference call with the Forest Service tomorrow to try to work out the details. That is all covered by the Forest Service Good Neighbor Authority agreement that we negotiated, that the county negotiated with the Forest Service, where they pick up whatever is not paid by OES. So that's total 100% reimbursement. Oh, point over there? Oh, is that how it works? Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm just going to show you the maps, right? So Project 18, you can see, basically, it goes Pioneer and all the way up, through, mainly focused in Pioneer, but there's, trees scattered all over the place. Project 19, there we go. Project 19 basically goes from Pine Grove down to Sutter Creek, and then Project 20, as you can see, is pretty much spread out from, from 0 to infinity, really. I mean, these projects are really spread out. These 3 projects cover everything east of 49 in the county. So, the trees are, we had one contractor, he referred to it as an Easter egg hunt, looking for these trees. Sometimes they're in clumps, sometimes, like we have lots of trees up in Shake Ridge Road, all in one place, but for the most part, there might be a tree here, tree there, tree someplace else, and so it's, they're really scattered. And then this is the Bear River project. You can see Bear River Road, Little Bear River Road, go all the way out to the, see if this guy will work. Guess not. Anyway, the pointer doesn't seem to be working. But in any event, it goes all the way out to where the summer home tracks are, goes through the summer home tracks, and there's about 781 trees, and the firs up at that elevation are just dropping like flies. I mean, every time you turn around, you see another dead tree. And we'll probably surely see, another, 50 or 100 trees up there by the time we get the project underway. I don't have a map for Project 22. I just got them yesterday from Cindy, and, thank God for Cindy Engel from, the Transportation Commission. She is just, godsend for us. I mean, she develops these beautiful maps for us. She keeps track of the trees. She keeps track of I do all the ROE work, but she, makes sure that I'm keeping myself, straight on that. Sometimes it gets kind of complicated. So, I mean, Cindy is just, if at the end of this whole show, I don't care if you do a resolution saying we're the greatest thing since sliced bread, but you definitely should do it for Cindy. Okay, so new mortality. Again, the pointer doesn't seem to be working, but you can just see these are the ones on the bottom and on the top right. Those are all on residential parcels. The one on the left is a big old oak tree. Where was that one?
I can't remember, to be honest with you, so.
That's in,
Oh, that's off of Thornton.
yeah. So, they're everywhere. I mean, they're all over the place. The new mortality is throughout the county: incense cedar, pine, Doug fir, madrone, oaks, and even species like alder, which, sitting next to a stream. We're finding, those are succumbing. The mortality at the higher elevations is particularly bad. And the Forest Service actually recognized this, and they created a new monitoring program to monitor the mortality in high elevation fir. And, it's pretty bad. And we're working at Sierra Tahoe, on Caldor fire. And, you've seen just everywhere. The firs are just, dropping like flies. Because of the continual occurrence, we normally have to mark additional trees in our projects. In other words, we have the base trees, and then we have add-on trees. We always max out the add-ons. We always have. I mean, have we maxed out in 18? We've already maxed it out.
You're talking maxing out based on your budget?
Yeah, the budget, the base budget is, awarded, and then the per tree costs, we're allowed 20% of the base budget as add-on trees. So how many trees we can take is based on the per tree cost, but it's capped at 20% of what the base budget is. So, I think that's about it. Well, moving forward, okay. We're gonna complete all our projects, hopefully, you know, by the time we get the first snowfall, and then we'll have Highway 49 survey done probably in the next couple weeks, maybe. We've got, how many trees was that?
120 or something like that?
Like 119 trees marked so far. That's to be compared to the last project we did west of 49, where we had 370 trees. So maybe it's taking off a little bit. I mean, there's not that many trees down there to begin with. So, you know, it's go to like out to Comanche. There's not a whole lot of trees out there to begin with. So depending on what happens with the Forest Service, hopefully that's going to get resolved tomorrow. We probably will not be able to implement the Bear River and Silver Lake projects this year. We've been, kind of stalled in these negotiations, and because, as soon as we get some snowfall, we're done. And we worked through the winter on our last project at Silver Lake, but it's, real difficult work, especially around the houses down there. At Silver Lake, taking out trees in the snow is not a lot of fun. Last time we had a really good operator who was able to do that, but, we can't anticipate that that's gonna happen, so we think that these projects will probably get carried over to next year.
It's something a little bit chagrined to hear. I would think the Forest Service should be pushing you to get it done and helping you to get it done any way, shape, or form possible. Probably wouldn't hurt the board members maybe to reach out to the Forest Service and try to jumpstart them, because there's no reason not to get the project done expediently. And a lot of people travel those roads. You got a lot of cabins up there, a lot of people up there recreate. They should be helping you all they can.
It's beyond me. I mean, at this point, it's, why we're kind of stuck in the mud on this a little bit, it's beyond me, but it has to do with, do the trees have any value? Because if the trees have value, then the Forest Service, gets credit for that value, right? So the last time around, it was treated all as call, no value. So this time, they're taking a second look at it and saying, do these trees have value?
Well, I think I remember last time that Forest Service had a bunch of logs stacked up in decks. They were trying to get rid of them, and finally they found one person that took them. I think later on he's sorry he even took them. So I think they should learn by past example, and they've got trees rotting all over the forest. There's stuff down over the forest. You can hardly sell a log. The best thing they can do is get out of the way and just say, here, go. But it's probably gets into legalistic issues.
Is it converted?
Maybe it's something, maybe when her talk to her congressman, see if he jumpstart a little bit.
I understand.
You can't, but I probably
Yeah, you guys, Ted warned me about, and that we don't want to get into the politics of this too much, but, again, we want to get the projects done as much as you do, and we're doing the Forest Service a favor, right? We're eliminating hazards along roads that are, the hazards are on their property. So, go figure.
Where do you typically take those logs? I mean, if it has no value, that the Forest Service likes to see, where do you take them?
Well, so the last one at Silver Lake, where did he take those logs? He took Ampine, and then those decks that you saw at Bear River, some of those decks went to Ampine. Well, Ampine's not there.
That's no more.
Yeah, so also Rich Stevens, who did the Silver Lake, he brought the lodgepole for firewood, right, over to Carson City. So these guys are creative. I mean, they figure out what they can do. If there's saw logs, they manage to get rid of the saw logs. If it's real coal, then, there's the shavings plant in Jamestown. There's other places. They get rid of it. They get rid of the trees. I mean, we tell them, you got to get rid of that tree, and they dang well do. They get rid of them. So when we did the project at Bear River and we decked the logs for the Forest Service to sell, they couldn't sell them. Ultimately, they got a contractor to agree to remove the logs. He was taking them to Ampine, so now the logs sit there. So anyway, any questions?
We're trying to work with a gentleman who's got a processing company where he wants all the trees ground, and then he puts them with other products to make a fertilizer. So hopefully we can get that off the ground, and I think he's already talking about getting a central location to grind them and then hauling all the material to their site, which is in Amador County.
Oh.
So we're trying.
Yeah, well, as soon as you know something definite about that, we add that venue to our list. You know, we have a list of where they can take things, and, you know, we add that to the list, and then, you know, then they can avail that. Like, the chips go to Southwick, right? So, you know, he takes all of our chips.
Yeah, but he takes them all over the state, whoever wants them.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he's trucking them out to biomass plants. So he's great, I mean, for chips.
Losing Ampine was a big hit, though, because, I mean, they weren't too picky what they took.
That's right. And, you know, not just that, they lost all those jobs. I mean, it's a shame.
When we drop a tree and the logs are sitting out in front of, like, alongside the road, how long is it taking for the contractor to come back and pick up the logs? Because I know they cut them up, the guys normally cut them up, don't deal with the log themselves. So how long is it taking to get rid of the logs?
It varies. I mean, we had one contractor who had a grapple truck that just followed along as they cut the trees down. He was right there with the grapple truck, picking them up and putting them in the truck, taking them away. You know, complete cleanup as he went along. Sometimes they might stay for like, 2 or 3 days? You know, usually we don't let them stay for too long. And plus, you know, Public Works doesn't like to see logs laying by the side of the road.
No, I just had a constituent that called. It was, you guys had taken down a tree, but the logs were still sitting out there for, it was like 2 or 3 days later. But I told him, you know, I did the Mario's time frame. I said, give me 2 weeks. If they're gone in 2 weeks, then give me a call back.
Yeah, it would never be that long. But on the other hand, you know, I get lots of calls from people where PG&E dropped logs. And left them, right? And now we have in fact, our code enforcement person has got, she dinged one of our customers and we left 2 logs on that property. Today we're gonna see how to get those logs out.
Okay.
So we don't like to leave any logs behind unless they're like, you know, across a stream or on a really steep slope, or we can't access them in one way or another. So, dang, you guys gave me a lot of time.
Well, why don't we wrap it up then? Anybody have any more questions? Anybody from the public? Anybody on Zoom? Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
See you in 3 months.
Sounds good. Okay, we'll move on to 3C, No Place Like Home project. Presentation by Behavioral Health and staff and Danco representatives.
Good morning.
Morning.
Melissa Cranfield from Behavioral Health. Morning. And it's been a little bit since we've been here to talk about No Place Like Home. Last time when we were here, we talked a little bit about the concerns with water, sewer, and the site plan with the city of Sutter Creek. So Chris from Danco should be on, and he was going to provide an update on those things.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good morning. Yeah, so since last time we spoke, we've been working with the Amador Water Agency on getting will serve. We were able to work with them and get a conditional will serve that essentially says that you know, they know we have our projects there, and in the event that their water reservoir issues are resolved, they will serve the development. In addition to that, we've also put in place a service extension agreement that is being recorded on the property, which essentially is the framework in which we would work with the agency to put in the improvements necessary for the development when and if the water reservoir situation is resolved. But with that, we did go ahead and apply to the state tax credit agency for the remaining funding needed to finance the project. We're doing that because the No Place Like Home funds does have a sunset date, and we wanted to make sure that we were putting our best foot forward, moving the project ahead. So we did apply to the state for the financing. Those funds would be noticed in November of this year on whether or not that application was successful. And if it was, then we would essentially need to be able to close on the construction financing 6 months later, which would be May of 2024, and that's when we would need to start construction. I think I mentioned last time that we don't actually need water service then necessarily, because there's a 12-month construction period, but we would have to have assurance at that point that we will, if we were to move ahead with the project construction, that once we are completed or near to completed, that we would be able to be hooked up. So that's really the update. We're in a holding period now, waiting to see if we're funded from the tax credit agency. In addition, we're in a holding period with regards to the Amador Water Agency and whether or not their improvements that they need to do are going to be resolved in time. And that's what I have.
Okay, thank you. Anything from the board?
So, Chris, this is Supervisor Axe. When did Amador Water Agency say that they would give you a certainty with respect to the water?
They have not made any promises with respect to the water. It's been left unsaid.
Well, I've been told they're serving other individual homes, so that kind of adds up. I think we need to hear from the water agency.
Chuck, you've been.
Yeah, there will.
Have you been talking to Larry at the water agency, and did he give an assurance that he thought this was going to happen based on they fixed their bottleneck?
Well, there's not going to be any formal assurance given until they actually have that capacity, but they believe they've got it. That's why they're doing this with Danco.
Might be prudent for you to have another meeting with Larry and push him a little bit.
Well, this is all a matter of timing, so if the clock runs out, then they need to declare a moratorium for the county.
Would you like me to invite AWA back to discuss this at a future meeting?
Yeah, I think it's that important, yeah.
We need to get something going on here, because I don't want the clock to run out on funding for this project.
Or just get him to handle it, and he could save himself coming to the meeting.
True, too. Well, anything, Melissa, anything else?
Nope, I think that's it, if there's no more questions.
Okay. Anything else from the board?
I guess on the water issue, this is a pretty definite push by the state to get these done. And for the Danco rep, if the water agency is going to keep hemming and hawing on this, isn't there, at some point, you got to push them a little harder and probably make a movement towards litigation?
Chris, did you want to take that?
I mean, what kind of
Sorry,
requirement, what kind of requirement is there in the program or in the framework where you can push this? Because I think that was one aspect of it, that, that communities that balked might have to be prompted a little bit.
Because they have to give
Yeah,
priority.
We do have a representative from HCD, Housing and Community Development, that has followed up with us. We had been talking to earlier about the situation. They really don't regulate utilities, but they do, there's an enforcement division as part of HCD that does regulate housing for counties, cities across the state. And so we have been consulting with them on, what to do here. And we are having a follow-up meeting with them this week to discuss, what would be the next steps in the event that we're not able to move this forward. But for us, we're not really in the business of taking on the county water agency. I don't know that we could afford that, the cost of that for this project. Is a small project. And, that could be a very costly endeavor. However, I will say that we will do everything in our power to work with the state agency to move them along. And timing-wise for the development, we will need assurances really by the end of the year, because if we're successful with state allocation, then that means that we're going to have to sign a document with the state funding agency, tax credit agency, for that reservation of funds. And then we're going to bring on an investor and lenders who are going to require that we have the proper will serve in place prior to, signing the deal up. So really, I would say the timing wise, if no later than mid-January 2024, we would need some assurances from the water agency that they will serve us once we are complete with construction.
Chris, Supervisor Axe here again. I remember seeing a report on the news. I'm not sure which county it was in, but there was an issue about building this type of housing, and the I guess the jurisdiction that was throwing up a roadblock, the state attorney general's office was contacted. Have you considered that?
No, I have not.
Okay.
But would consider that.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a NIMBY issue here that needs to be dealt with too.
The stall job, hoping they're going away.
Okay, anything from the public? Anything from people on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. I think I'm the next one too.
Workforce recruitment, 3D, workforce recruitment and retention strategies, proposed Mental Health Services Act. You get reinforcements this time.
Yes, yeah, I got backup this time. So this is my deputy director, Karen Vaughn, and she does all of our fiscal, oversees all of that. And then Stephanie Hess, our MHSA programs coordinator. So this is for our proposed innovations project. And the memo kind of explains what an innovation project is. And one of the things, and this is through our MHSA dollars. And with this project, it was developed as a result of the issues with the clinical workforce. And some other counties were doing things with workforce to try to help recruit and retain staff, especially clinicians and crisis workers, since they're hard to fill and hard to sustain those positions, and they're needed. So when you do an innovations project, it comes from stakeholder input, staff input, and the key is this is a proposed project, and one of the steps is we have to get our board to approve to us to move it along to the Oversight and Accountability Commission, and then they have to approve it, in order for us to utilize these funds that we already have for this project. And it's a 5-year project, and the first year would be planning and implementation. So I know in this proposal, there's many ideas and thoughts, and that's exactly what they are. That first year would be determine what things are feasible to do, what would be innovative to do, what would be something that just the project would cover, if it's something that's long-term, is there a sustainability plan for that? So that would all happen in that first year of planning. That's if it gets approved by the Oversight and Accountability Commission, that we can move forward. And then also, as you all know, MHSA reform may change some things as well, but the hope is, according to our Directors Association, that if we go ahead and move forward with projects now that we already have the funding for, that we could kind of get those funds earmarked for specific projects so those won't get reverted back to the state. So we're here to just answer any questions or any discussion that you may have.
What is the state board that has to approve this, made up of who?
It's the Mental Health Services Oversight and Accountability Commission.
Yeah, the MHSOAC. And they are a board of commissioners that are appointed by the governor.
How big is the board?
I think there's at least 12 commissioners right now, and they're from all over the state.
I mean, basically,
I'm kind of worried about currently Amador County Behavioral Health has $6.3 million in unspent funds that they may want to take back. How much of a reality is there in that statement?
Well,
That's not a good response. That's
right? I mean, we probably have a year and a half to 2 years of funding, you're right, that is sitting there waiting to be spent. And part of the reason that we have that is because there has been additional funding that's been coming in and has, supplanted basically the MHSA funding, right? You're not supposed to supplant with MHSA funding, but we have mobile crisis that came in and paid for part of what we were using MHSA for. So I'm not answering your question at all because I have no idea, right? Does anybody have any idea if they're gonna revert all those funds back?
Well, is there a way, will we be able to spend $6.3 million in a year? Probably not, right?
Not MHSA funding the way it is, correct. But this would be a way to at least earmark 2 of it.
Yeah, we still lose a pretty big chunk.
We will spend at least 3.5 of that MHSA funding, though. If you're asking how much of that will be spent, at least 3.5, and this would be an earmark for another 2.
okay, additional on top, so about
Yeah,
$5.5 million then.
yeah.
So anything we lose, we can't put into roads then, right?
No, but you could put it into housing.
Yeah.
Can you?
That's not even funny.
And that is something to think about. If we could put it into housing, that could extend into creating water capacity for
I don't know if you could put it into infrastructure.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
That would be the issue.
Yeah.
Because
Might be too sensible.
there's going to be no housing without infrastructure, and that's I've reached out to Larry about. They just released the federal. Not the feds, but the state HCD for the block grants, CDBG grants to create some infrastructure and some capacity. Maybe we could do a joint approach at that. So we're talking about that. Maybe using Wicklow. So.
Okay, anything else from the board?
Looks like, basically that, about $2 million we're looking basically trying to, keep your staff basically.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Question I'd have, I guess, so you're probably looking to increase, employee cost. Is it, how are you gonna, so you get that money temporarily for like 5 years? Now, is it just like incentives, so it's not actually, you're not gonna be having higher salaries going forward?
Part of it is stipends, which are usually one time or,
Yeah, like the on-call, you're raising that and stuff like that.
We're asking for it to be to be raised. Of course, we would look to see if this is really feasible for us to raise the on-call for us. And then the, besides the on-call, it would also be a shift differential, which I think is already in place, so again, we'd probably have to.
You can control your costs
Yes,
after this time period then, yeah, okay,
the base pay would not change.
yeah. That's how it appears, want to make sure.
And there's lots of other counties, but then also private industry. Kaiser's a big one too, and we've lost staff who have left to go to work for places like Kaiser or other private sectors that can offer $2,500 to $5,000 hiring bonuses or retention bonuses. And so part of that is trying to be able to keep the staff that we have, because when you have clinicians and crisis workers that are working with clients and there's turnover, then it ultimately is bad client care. So we want to be able to try to retain the staff that we do have.
I think it's a good plan. Whether it's gonna work, I mean, like you said, we're losing firefighters and sheriff's deputies outside of the county, just going for higher pay, but some of them, not a lot of them, some of them already live outside the county, so it makes it easier to make that jump. But quality of life is great if you can offer a little more on the shift differential and some of the other areas. We'll see.
Okay, anything from the public? Anybody from Zoom?
Not at this time.
Okay, back to the board. We good as it?
You need a motion on this, Mr. Chairman?
Do we need a-
Move then that we approve the proposed MHSA innovation project from our department.
I'll second.
Supervisor Crew seconded. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 5-0.
All right.
Thank you.
Very much. And we'll let you know
read
how it
through
goes.
this. I was off this weekend someplace, but I read through this whole thing. It took me a long time.
Yeah,
but
it's long.
It's good information, though.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
great job.
We'll keep you updated. All right. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, we're on to 3E, Public Health Presentation on Emergency Preparedness. The other side of the building.
Good morning, Chairman and Supervisors. We are
Morning.
pleased to be here this morning to share some information on our programs with you.
It does.
My name is Diana Evenson. I'm a program manager with Public Health. This is my colleague, Holly Stanman. And we are pleased to have with us today our newest member of the Emergency Preparedness Team, Tracy Dane.
Welcome.
This morning, we're going to be speaking about our three core funding streams within the Emergency Preparedness and Response Programs. Public Health Emergency Preparedness, also known as PHEP, Pandemic Influenza, informally known as PANFLU, and the Hospital Preparedness Program, also known as HPP. Within each of these funding streams, you'll see components of prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. The Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant is part of a federal cooperative that's been around since 2002. It's actually the second generation of the bioterrorism grants that originated after 9/11. The goal is to strengthen our local preparedness and respond to a range of public health threats. For example, communicable disease outbreaks, natural disasters, biological or chemical events, and this is accomplished through capabilities that focus on incident management, information sharing and situational awareness, countermeasures and mitigation, and epidemiological surveillance. Pandemic influenza is a funding stream that focuses on our community's ability to not only respond to and withstand, but to recover from an emergency infectious disease. In a small rural county, how we prepare to respond to an emergency emerging infectious disease, we do this by continued engagement with our community partners, including emergency management, healthcare partners, behavioral health, faith-based organizations, and our regional and state counterparts. When a new disease emerges, it is likely that individuals may not have immunity to it. Therefore, PanFlu focuses on what measures can we take to not only plan for the continuity of operations of the Public Health Department, but also our community as a whole.
Is this within your plan under, I don't know, chemical or something else, like a fentanyl outbreak? If somebody tries to bring drugs like that into the community, would that fall under this?
We would be happy to collaborate with other partners in maybe behavioral health and our sheriff's office if we have a role that they would like us to serve.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, as Diana said, I'm Holly Sandman. I'm also a program manager with Public Health. The hospital preparedness program, much like FEP and PanFlu, was also established in 2002. And it's the primary source of federal funding, which is then routed through the state and into local jurisdictions to focus on health system preparedness. To meet its goal in healthcare preparedness and response, HPP focuses on 4 primary capabilities: the foundation for healthcare and medical readiness, healthcare and medical response coordination, continuity of healthcare service delivery, and medical surge. This grant also supports the development of healthcare coalitions, which are collaborations between a variety of healthcare agencies and other organizations that are focused on emergency preparedness and response. Collaboration between public health departments, healthcare organizations, emergency management, local government agencies, etc., strengthen our local capabilities to address med-surg capacity, coordination and allocation of resources, and the ability to utilize these partnerships to ensure a healthcare continuum during disasters.
Since you're here, this might be a public health emergency.
So our healthcare coalition is referenced as the Community Preparedness Coalition. We currently have 116 active members, and as I mentioned on the previous slide, our members include a variety of agencies, both in the healthcare realm and non-healthcare entities. The Community Preparedness Coalition meets quarterly with the group as a whole, and when warranted, we have additional meetings with subsets of the coalition. In the quarterly meetings, we focus on information sharing, disaster planning efforts, resource coordination, and we often have subject matter experts present on topics of importance. The coalition also participates in the annual statewide medical health exercise, and members are provided information on FEMA and incident command system training, and agencies participate in facility status report drills, which provide us real-time information and situational awareness. The collaboration of our group has really strengthened our agency-to-agency communication and overall response capabilities in the community. Amador County Public Health does not have a medical reserve corps to call upon when volunteers are needed. So the disaster healthcare volunteer system, which is part of our FAB capabilities, is utilized to deploy volunteers in response to all types of disasters. In Amador County, volunteers are required to complete both the county volunteer process and the DHB registration prior to being accepted into the Amador unit in the DHB system. We have 80 active volunteers, 66% are licensed medical professionals, and the remaining function as administrative support staff. Medical credentials are routinely validated through the system within DHB platform to verify active status. We've historically utilized physicians and nursing volunteers to fill staffing gaps at Red Cross shelters upon request for support during wildfire events locally and regionally. And volunteers have also been deployed to fill screening and registration positions at mass vaccination clinics. And they also participate in local, regional, and statewide drills and exercises. I'd now like to introduce Tracy Dane, who's an outreach technician with Public Health and also works on our emergency preparedness grants, to speak a little bit about our community outreach.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Thank you for having us. Public Health Emergency Preparedness and Response Programs partner in community outreach events, some of which are listed right there. We use these events to share information on disaster planning. This year at Celebrate Our Children event, we focused on wildfire preparedness. Children decorated their own go bags and were taught about important items to include in an evacuation. We also included family communication and evacuation plans and other activities to engage them in learning about emergency preparedness. 188 go bags were distributed at this event, with children, parents, and grandparents all really enjoying this learning experience. This year we are hosting the first public health and wellness celebration, and it will be located at the Italian Picnic Grounds in Cedar Creek. The Together We Can event will take place on Saturday, October 21st from 1 to 4 p.m., and it is free to all. We will be partnering with many other local organizations who will have resource booths and activities. We look forward to serving our community and celebrating health at this event. Thank you.
Another component of FEP includes the Medical Health Operational Area Coordination, also known as MOAC. Each county in California has designated individuals assigned to operate in this capacity. In Amador County, our health officer, Dr. Kerr, is Amador MOAC. The MOAC designee is myself, and the MOAC operations designee is Holly Sandman. The Mountain County EMS is also responsible to take the lead on any transport or EMS resource requests that are received within our operational area. During day-to-day non-emergency operations, the MOAC functions in a duty officer mode and maintains 24/7 availability. In the event of a local emergency, the MOAC is responsible for monitoring medical and health needs and resources within the area. If local resources are exhausted, local medical and health partners may contact the MOAC and submit a resource request. Of course, if the Emergency Operations Center is open, this will be done in coordination with the Office of Emergency Services Coordinator. We wanted to give you just a small snapshot of the last 3.5 years. So you'll see just a few stats on this slide. Over this time period, Amador requested over 417,000 units of equipment and personnel assistance. Equipment can range from anything from N95 masks to gloves, gowns, and the like, to larger equipment needs. Personnel can be medical personnel to support our local hospital, outbreak response teams, testing support, and vaccination efforts. These resource requests were received locally and then elevated to the region in the State Operations Center. Of the initial request, we received over 350,000 units of equipment and personnel. Of note, the larger requests were a mobile medical shelter supplied by Sacramento EMS to support our local hospital surge needs, and CalMAT teams to work alongside our disaster healthcare volunteers and our local county disaster service workers to serve our community needs.
In closing, we wanted to share that September is National Preparedness Month. Every year, FEMA's Ready campaign chooses a preparedness theme, and this year the focus is on preparing older adults for disaster. With approximately 27% of Amador County's population being in the 65 and older group, we wanted to encourage everyone to share the ready.gov website listed on this slide, where you can find an enormous amount of information and resources on disaster planning. So thank you for your time today, and we're available if you have any questions.
Okay, to the board, any questions?
No, just a nice presentation.
Wonderful presentation.
You're much better with the clicker than Dr.
Had some practice.
So just a quick question, are there any areas of concern or, that have come up in your meetings and discussions and planning sessions? Is there anything that we're not prepared for, or?
We actually look at a hazard vulnerability assessment every single year, and it has been consistent that wildfire ranks number one.
Okay.
We also look at things like utility outage, and it relates to communication and infectious disease.
Okay.
I guess, how closely do you work with law enforcement? I'm thinking that one case, I think it was Kern County or Porterville area where they found like a production lab for, what was it? What?
Was it for methamphetamine? Yes.
Methamphetamines, but
We are very fortunate in our community to have good relationships with our law enforcement partners. We would be happy to collaborate with whatever epidemiological needs that they would have.
I think there was one down there that was biological in nature though, that they found, and.
Ricin, if I recall right?
It was like
so,
a
and it
Chinese company that was here in California.
Yeah, it was in Fresno.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fresno, and it was very serious. So something like that, public health would be involved with right from the start?
If we were requested to be on scene, of course, we would be happy to serve in the role of medical and health branch within the Emergency Operations Center.
You wouldn't be out there in the white suits though, right? Those would be experts brought in the field?
Yes, sir.
Trained in it, but.
If we were needed to go into the hot zone, of course, we would. But it would be anticipated that we probably would be kept in the cold zone.
Well, it says on the last slide, county supervisors are the ones in the white suit.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
I'd
Okay.
like to move that we designate Frank Axton as the representative.
Wait a second, I guess out of all of us, I'm the one that's been in the hot zone,
Okay, well,
But I wasn't in white, it was green.
You have
But-
experience.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, do we have anything from the public? Or anybody from Zoom?
Not at this time on Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it. Do we need a quick break, or can we handle last two?
Charge on.
Okay. 3F, discussion of possible action relative to the review and approval of the response to the 2022-2023 Amador County Grand Jury Report. The various documents referenced in the draft report are attached.
Mr. Chairman, the draft report is in the packet for your review. I've had it run it past both the chair and the vice chair. The grand jury had asked the board to respond basically to three aspects of their report, which were the Veteran Services Officer, Veteran Services, basically, department. And you'll see in there that we've addressed most of what they're recommending, including additional funding to the VSO to promote himself. The next area was mental health and suicide prevention. That was probably the bigger, more pointed aspect of the grand jury report. And talking to Melissa, our behavioral health director, she put the response together that's in this draft. But the good news is that all of the recommendations that they have made, we have already implemented. So it is a problem, and really getting to the heart of the problem and to a solution is a challenge. But we are doing everything we can. Melissa came and did a presentation. I don't know if you remember back last year. I've included a copy of that presentation to the board about this very issue last year that she did. And so any questions? She's here, as well as Stephanie has.
The big counties still don't get this. When I talked to a Fresno County supervisor and I told him that we have, I think at that time it was #1, now we're #2 in the amount of suicides. And he said, well, wow, how many do you have? And I told him the number, and that's all? And so it's all economy of scale. They just, sometimes the bigger counties don't look at that at all.
When you're, yeah, it doesn't take a lot to really make our numbers jump in terms of percentage, but it is high without.
Well, per capita, it's
Yeah,
very high.
I think you always need to qualify it by saying the per capita rate is X, which is significantly higher than other counties, because that's, you know, that's how you normalize it and can compare our results to what other counties are seeing.
On the veteran service officer, you said an additional $1,000 will be used to spend on marketing. Are all the funds that come back to the county from his programs going back into veteran services?
Yes, he doesn't fund himself completely out of subvention funds. He does require an additional contribution from the general fund.
So even if he increases the numbers, which he has done, then
He's
we're
still far short.
Still not getting full funding, reimbursement?
Not really even close, no. So when we increase his funding by $1,000, that's $1,000 that comes out of the general fund to cover that.
One more question on the page 80. There were a couple things there that I thought were a little funny. F8, the grand jury is making a suggestion to expand the jail over 20 years. And the grand jury recommended that the county consider planning for a new jail facility when the expansion meets capacity. These recommendations were met with discouraging responses about the future from the sheriff's office. Discouraging, I would say maybe they were practical comments of reality.
The issue with that finding is, well, I don't know what the sheriff's office responded to them, but we have a capital facilities fee that's been in place. We cannot mandate that CFF be adopted by the cities, and we still have a city that is growing the fastest in this county that is refusing to adopt the CFF. Not much we can do about it.
Well, and it's funny they didn't. Yeah, they didn't highlight that in their response at all, or they didn't seem to understand that. But then further down the page, F11, staff refused to say anything bad about their jobs, even when prompted. I thought that shouldn't be their job to say, come on, what's bad about your job? Tell us, what's bad? That really, to me, is not what they're not there to interrogate them.
Yeah, I can. The jail side of things had a lot of issues in there. The county has been prepared to expand the jail since when 2016, I think, is when we got the funding. And we've been prepared to start as soon as we got those plans drawn up. But it's the state rules and it's the state processes and the state agencies that have kept us from starting that. Now we're at the point where we're finally going to open up bids next week for the jail, and hopefully we get something that's within the $8 million we've budgeted over what it should have been if we had started in 2016. They want to know where the money's going. Why aren't you giving it to the employees? Well,
we actually started a long time before that, because we got the first grant of $22.5 million that, with the discussions with the sheriff at that time, we sent back to the state because the sentencing rules were all changing, and there was no reason to have a 240 or 50 bed jail.
Right. And the cost for that would have been crazy. The same issue we've got is that there's no water and sewer out of Wicklow.
Were you interviewed in this process?
I was not, no.
Wouldn't that have made sense, because you kind of have a good perspective of all the finances and financials that go into this project?
It would have been wise, yeah. And
there's no way you could have said, hey.
Well, the good news is that I've been approached by this year's grand jury, so yes, we won't repeat that, but I am always available and staff is available. I know, staff approaches this is not a criminal grand jury. You know, we're not lawyering up and trying to trick them as we deal with the grand jury. And if they would ask us direct questions, rather than kind of trying to Columbo it and trick us into something, we will give them very direct answers. We don't stand and say, we are in, you know, we know we're running this county perfectly, and whatever suggestion you make is wrong. We are willing to look at what we're doing and make changes where we need to. We don't believe we are perfect, and we can always change. And some of that we have. Some of it we would like the state to change, but and it's out of our control. So
It might be a good idea to, in the future, to let the presiding judge know that having direct conversation with you as the CAO in charge of the budget process might be a good idea for every grand jury.
yeah, well, we've said that before.
Yeah, because I think if they understood the numbers at all, they wouldn't be pushing for a new jail. I mean, it's not in the cards any way, shape, or form.
Do you mean beyond this expansion that we're about?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, a brand new jail.
Yeah.
I mean, that's maybe a long ways down the road, but not unless you want to break the county.
Very true. Any other comments or questions on any of the thing? Melissa is here to answer any questions on the mental health side of things, if you had any questions for her.
Thought they were pretty measured responses. Did you edit them as you went along some?
Talking about mine or
Yeah,
Melissa's?
yeah.
Mine, yes.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting that 2% of the patients accounted for almost 20% of, dollars spent, so. But that's, I'm sure some people, if they have some real issues, you probably spend a lot of time and resources on them. And I don't think that's something you're gonna change easily.
Okay, do we have anybody on Zoom?
No, not at this time.
Okay. So suggested action is make changes as desired, and direction to staff to submit the response with the chairman's signature.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Be 5-0. 3G.
Move to approve minutes.
Okay.
No changes.
No
Yeah, I
change.
had one change, but it's pretty minor, so I'll second.
With that minor change.
It was on one of the votes. Should have been 3-2-0 instead of 3-0-2.
Vote.
On page 4.
Right here.
Very good.
Yep.
Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that goes 5-0. This meeting is adjourned until Tuesday, September 12th at 9 a.m.